Wait, you typed them?
I've typed everything. Oh yeah, my laptop was open as the movie was playing. I would pause it, like, write this down. Write this down. Nothing to report. Write this down. Least favorite. Definitely least favorite scene. Favorite scene? Okay. I was like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. But we'll get to that.
And then, I did read it was filmed in Chicago and LA with that tarp thing.
Did they actually film in Chicago? I thought it was all filmed in California to make it look like Chicago.
I kind of figured the train definitely had to be Chicago.
Well, they said that all the day shots were Chicago, like, so that, I guess, the town under the train, and then everything at night was actually in LA. They built that and then had, like, a fucking tarp. But they said the problem, because of everybody being around the age of...
under 30?
No, it was actually, like, labor laws. Because they were still... Some of them were young.
Oh, yeah, well, Diane Lane was
18.
They had to do the tarp thing because they couldn't work at night. And I'm like... well, yeah, probably shouldn't be talking about it.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Film Asylum, where if you're crazy about movies, you belong here. We are your hosts, Colin Peters,
John Rochetter.
Damn, I'm taken back. I was actually expecting some sort of fucking quote.
I tried to find something and I couldn't. So it's all you, Jeff.
I'm just... And I'm Jeff, man.
Are you choking up right now?
Yeah, I'm a little...
I got nothing else to add other than...
I'm choking you up too?
No, I usually sit down and just spectate the bickering back and forth with Jeff going, fuck you and your stupid movie quotes, exaggeration, and you're just like, I got you, Jeff. And...
Screw you and your diehard charisma and your soothing acting voice. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you said it was soothing.
I just sit back with the popcorn and go, uh-huh. But I can understand why you probably felt that way today, John, because today we're going to be talking about 1984's Streets of Fire, which stars Diane Lane, Willem Dafoe, Michael Pare, I believe is how you say his name. Rick Moranis. Is it Amy Madigan? Let me look her up. Yep, Amy Madigan. Deborah Van Valkenburg. Bill Paxton's even in it.
Yeah, Bill Paxton. He's the bartender.
And Lee Ving,
I'm sorry, that Lee Ving, like, is that the actual person's name? Because it just sounds like
that's his name.
Yeah.
Lee Ving.
A pun on leaving.
Well, the funny thing about Lee Ving is he was actually, I think he's like the lead singer of a punk band.
Okay.
And we probably know him best for being in Clue.
Mr. Body.
He's Mr. Body.
Mr. Body's body.
Okay.
And then he's like Willem Dafoe's right-hand man in this movie. Also, E.G. Daly's in it, too. And some other people that you've seen here and there in some other projects.
So it's like
Peter Jason. That guy who's always in That Guy in any John Carpenter movie that you can name off the top of your head. He's in it.
That guy.
That guy. Who's that guy? Yeah. But what Streets of Fire is about, it was directed by Walter Hill. Like I said, it came out in 1984. And since it's 2024, we figured, hey, let's make this the year of anniversary movies. So we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Streets of Fire. And it's about this female rock singer who gets taken by this motorcycle gang. And her ex-boyfriend comes back into town to save and rescue her. Is pretty much the main gist of the story. But Streets of Fire is very unique and has a lot more layers to it. It's a typical damsel in distress film. But the thing about a Walter Hill movie, and he's done many others like 48 Hours with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. He's done The Warriors. He's done Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. He's also...
Wait, he did The Warriors?
Yeah.
He did The Warriors.
I could see the vibe now. I didn't even...
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They actually... I heard some review critics and other guys online, they actually said that you almost feel like this could be in, like, there's like a Walter Hill universe.
It would make sense.
And they feel like that's what it is.
Same universe.
I gotta say, when I first got introduced to this movie, I never knew about this. Like, I knew about Diane Lane. I didn't even know who Michael Pare really is. I knew of Eddie and the Cruisers, and I've watched Eddie and the Cruisers 1 and 2. But I didn't know, like, this was another movie he was in. And I didn't know until we actually went up to Mahoning. I think it was last year. And almost every movie I saw, the trailer played. And I kept on seeing the cast, and the music, like, really caught my ear. And I was just like, so what's this? You know, I never heard of this movie. And, you know, Mahoning, sometimes they'll have like some like low B movie or something that you never really heard of, and, you know, underground films that you can go and have a good time with and watch them on 35 millimeter. But this one, I felt like there was something unique to it, because I'm like, man, they're really hyping this up, and they wound up playing it that year. And then I saw Shout Factory even had a 4K release of it. So I was like, what's the big deal with this movie?
Yeah. Shout Factory, they're known for giving their 4K Blu-ray editions to movies, but not giving you the code to put a digital copy in. So they're known for that, which is, yes, you got me there, but you didn't get me here. I don't like that. But like you said, Colin, I haven't heard of this movie until 3 weeks ago. You guys kept talking about this movie in our texting chain back and forth. What the hell is Streets of Fire? What is this film? I don't know what this is, so I was in for a treat last night when I watched it, I guess. I wasn't sure what to think.
Well, here's how I described it. I watched it at first, and I just said, I don't not like it, but yet I don't love it. You know, and most critics I was seeing were saying that, you know, here's like one of the greatest movies you never saw. And it bombed when it first came out. Mm-hmm. I think the marketing was like totally off with it.
Okay.
Because the thing about Streets of Fire is it looks like there's like multiple different genres in this movie. Like, there's a mix of a little bit of a Western. There's a mix of 1950s meets the 1980s. Like, when I first was describing this movie to Jeff, I said, this is almost like Batman 89, where you can't fit it in a specific time period. And I think that was really cool because it's a movie. You can do that. And it even starts off with a title crawl that says, Another Place in Another Time. Here's a rock and roll fable.
Yes.
So it's almost like a musical without it being an actual musical, because the music's like very heavy in the forefront. They're catchy songs. The soundtrack, I actually got the soundtrack then because I really dug it a whole lot. And I found out that a couple of the songs were done by Jim Steinman, who was Meatloaf's right-hand man.
Oh, okay.
Who did a lot of Bat Out of Hell. Well, I think he did all the songs on Bat Out of Hell with Meatloaf.
Okay.
Damn.
That's why if you listen to the songs like Nowhere Fast, which is the first one that Diane Lane, she doesn't actually sing, but it's her lip syncing.
I was under the impression that she did sing in this movie.
It's not her.
That was kind of a letdown, actually, because I was like, it sounded good.
Yeah.
But those two that were her songs, those were two Jim Steinman songs.
Oh, okay.
And I know that another song that she sings in the movie, quote unquote sings, is called Sorcerer. That's actually a Stevie Nicks song. Because I had the Stevie Nicks album, but she didn't release it until like the early 2000s. And I was like, why does this song sound familiar? And I looked it up, and here it was a song that her and Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac had just from a while back or in inventory. Okay. And they must have been approached for the movie and said, hey, we're looking for music to go with this movie that's going to be very music heavy. And I guess they sold them the song.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the marketing campaign was like for this movie, because it is done by Universal Pictures. That's a big studio. Gordon Silver are the producers. They're a big name. They did movies like Predator, just to name a few.
Die Hard,
yeah. So they've been a company with some big productions. It was a $14.5 million budget that they had invested in this movie. So, and like you said, it does feel much like a Western, because Walter Hill has done The Long Riders and the TV show Deadwood. So he's no stranger to making Westerns, or at least having that feel in his movie. But, yeah, it is... I guess you could call, like it says, it's a rock and roll fable. That's how it starts off. It's a fable's a short story of myth and legend. But I gotta be honest, Colin. After seeing this movie for the first time, I'd rather listen to the soundtrack before watching this again, because I feel like the real star of this movie is the music.
Oh, it could be.
No. It was Willem Dafoe's fucking overalls, man.
His overalls, or are you talking about his Cobra-style haircut? Because the guy, his name is Raven in the movie, but he feels more like a...
Shattuck.
Yeah, he's a Cobra, not exactly a Raven look.
No.
Okay, so Willem Dafoe plays a character named Raven Shattuck, who's the leader of this biker gang called the Bombers. Diane Lane is this lead singer named
Ellen and the Attackers.
And what they do is they kidnap her at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And
it was kind of one of the most awkward moments in that movie. It was because, like, you could see the obsession in his eyes, which, kudos to Willem Dafoe. Just the facial expressions he had in this movie, like, you could see what he was feeling. Like, it was intense obsession.
You could see the talent very early on. Yeah. It wasn't his first movie, but he did a couple roles before this one, but you could see the talent blossoming early in his year.
I heard somebody say, like, who loved this movie, he said, one of my biggest negatives about this is that there was not enough Willem Dafoe in this movie.
I agree.
And even his entrance was so damn cool.
Like the shadows on his face and everything?
Like when they just, like him and the other guys, you can see him like as the leader in the front. They kind of like pyramid out, and it's just silhouettes. And they open the doors to the auditorium, and somehow they keep moving forward, but you don't actually see them doing it. So it's almost like they're mythical in a way. Yeah. And then the shadows just lightly, get lifted off their face, and then you see Willem Dafoe, and he just has that. I mean, he has very distinct facial features, but as an actor, he knew how to have that emotion, like Jeff said, like an obsession in his eyes. Mm-hmm. That you knew this guy wasn't all right up there.
Oh, yeah. It's great energy to kick off this movie. I wasn't sure what to expect, but when the music starts kicking on, people are going to a concert. Diane Lane, I thought was kicking ass. I thought that was her voice, but still the music and the song is amazing. Everything about the opening 10 minutes of this movie is awesome.
Listen,
like I wanted that energy all throughout the movie.
I thought Diane Lane played the part of that rock star perfectly. Mm-hmm. Like she had like the dance moves and the rhythm down, and I heard her in an interview say that, she thought about being a musician, but she knew that she was an actress. So for her to play a musician, it was a thrill for her. Yeah. And I was like, she nailed it. Like you said, John, you thought that it was actually her singing.
I did.
Like she nailed that part of being a rock star.
She had great stage presence.
Yeah, she had like that front man, energy and vibe to her.
Dude, now I'm kind of let down knowing it wasn't her. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
But aren't you impressed? Oh, that she was that good?
It's really cool. You've got
she fucking sold it.
This band, Ellen and the Attackers, and they're like a fusion of 80s pop rock, but they're dressed out of Buddy Holly and the Crickets. So you're mixing 2 decades of music into one performance on stage. You've got Rick Moranis in the background, like he's playing a serious role.
Rick Moranis is totally serious in this movie.
I mean, I considered him one of the villains at one point because, like,
that's what I thought.
He is just nasty.
He's a slimy kind of character, but he's dating Ellen in this film when they start out. I mean, he's the manager. He's the owner of this club or this concert venue.
No, I don't think he's the owner of the venue. I think he's just like a music promoter, manager.
Okay.
Because at one point I remember when one of Ellen Aim's fans, I think it's E.G. Daly, is talking to Diane Lane, and she says, like, how do you write the songs? And she goes, I can't write for shit. Billy just buys them and I sing them.
Yeah. That's how it is for a lot of musicians out there. Yeah. But I had as cool as the opening is, I did not believe for a second that this guy or this venue would hire some sort of security guard team or any kind of bodyguards to protect Diane Lane, because they just bull rush the stage like a swarm of locusts and just kidnap her. Where's the security in this venue? Where's anybody to stop these guys? There's nobody.
Well, did you ever hear of the concert in Altamont where they had like a festival, was it back in the 60s or 70s, and they hired the Hells Angels to be the security?
Yeah, but that was then. This is now. I mean,
no. I mean, this movie takes place whenever.
But if you think about it, they did have some guys there as like security, but they were the bikers just annihilated them.
I didn't see that happen at all. I just saw them like basically getting into fights with the other audience members, and they had no resistance. They just swarmed up there, kidnapped her right on stage, and before you know it, there's chaos in these Streets of Fire. You've got crashes and explosions happening like right in front of our very eyes. In fact, I thought right in there, if I had to compare this movie to two films, this is a cross between John Carpenter's Escape from New York meets the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers, because you've got car wrecks and motorcycle crashes and explosions, and you've got musical acts performing all throughout the film, and you've got the Escape from New York vibe, these ragtag dredges of the streets having to get out of this sticky situation.
I don't know. I feel like it's its own thing, and that's what I really respect about it.
Okay.
Because it takes place in, like the movie says, another place, another time, and it's a rock and roll fable. You don't know if it's the 1950s or the 1980s, but it also has possibly an even more futuristic vibe where, like, you go into the cities, it's almost like with the neon lights, it kind of reminds you of something like Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, is this the section that you shouldn't go into? But that was like a part where they had to blend in to get away, because Michael Pare plays Tom Cody, who is the brother of Reva, and Reva is played by Deborah Von Valkenburg. I believe that's how you say it. She was in The Warriors by Walter Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It did seem like he did reuse a lot of people from what I was reading, but they all seem to have, I guess, a good work ethic with him. So it was kind of one of those things like, hey, I can work well with him here. I'll
use him. Absolutely.
Exactly. There was what was the character from the Warriors in 48 Hours? Dexter's dad. What the hell's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but yeah, it's hard to think.
It's gonna come to me. It's
James something.
James Remar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses him a lot. He was in The Warriors and he was in 48 Hours. So yeah, I can see the trend of him reusing same actors that he has a good repertoire with.
So what Reva does, that's the sister of Tom Cody, she messages Tom to come back home, because we don't know where exactly he is, but we see her type in the letter after Ellen was kidnapped, and we find out that he's actually Ellen's ex-boyfriend.
I actually thought it was a telegram.
Could have.
I'm just thinking
typed
like
letter.
Typing it on a typewriter.
Well, yeah, like in the concept of like her doing that, I thought it was just a telegram. Like, oh, we'll send this out, get her brother to come home. But it's like wasn't one of those things like she wanted him home to help. It was more or less she wanted him home to be safe, and he gets wrapped up in this because
she says she just says come home.
Yeah,
like Ellen was kidnapped. Like she see it in the.
Well, I was thinking more or less like it wanted him home, not because she was kidnapped. More or less like, hey, there's a lot of shit going on. Want you here with me, not. Actually,
the reason for it was because she knew that he was still in love with her, and if he knew anything bad he plays it off like I'm the badass. Like, oh, you want me to go after my ex who's running around with somebody else? He's like, oh, thanks a lot. But then he looks at a picture of her in his wallet.
It's like all beat up, like it's been there for a while.
And he's like, okay, I'll do it. But he still plays it off like he's a hired gun mercenary. You know, like I'm not gonna do it unless I get paid for it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the woman that was his right-hand person, actually, I enjoyed her character as well.
Yeah, Amy Madigan.
Yeah.
That was actually supposed to be a male character.
Yeah. I thought she played it off perfectly.
McCoy? Yeah. I did enjoy her quite a bit in the film. But after the opening sequence, this kind of leads to my first issue, and that is the editing. The editing just feels like it's a complete mess with this opening credit sequence. You have the film playing out, and then it cuts to black with the names of the people responsible for making the film, and it goes in and out, and then it freeze frames, and then it does these scratchy film wipe cuts. It's like the film is at war with itself in the editing room. It doesn't really know what to do, a clean line of how to edit the film together in the very beginning, because it seems like it doesn't know how to make up its mind. Are you going to have a freeze frame, or are you going to take the freeze frame out? Are you going to cut to black or not? Because it's trying to throw all this in just during the opening credits sequence when McCoy's making his entrance. He gets into a fight with those guys at the diner. And then it finally goes to directed by Walter Hill. Yeah.
You mean Cody.
Cody, sorry. Yeah, Tom Cody. But what did I say, McCoy?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom Cody. But it's like the film doesn't know what to do. Like, the editors are at war with itself.
That's funny, because I heard one person say one of his favorite things was the editing. He thought like some of the fast cuts and stuff like really helped with like the pacing because the movie's tight. You know, for an hour and a half, it doesn't feel like it. Like you get to the meat and bones of like the story. There's no fluff in between this. It's just like when Tom goes to save Ellen Aim, he's in and out.
Yeah, it's not drawn out either.
Well, at times I do feel that the film is fast-paced, and I do think there's a moment where the plot screeches the brakes like a subway car. And it's that moment when they rescue her, and then after that, it seems like the film doesn't quite know what to do.
Yeah, it kind of like loses its pacing after.
Especially with not showing enough of Willem Dafoe, and okay, what are you trying to do, man? Are you trying to get her back now that Tom Cody stole her from you? I know I'm getting ahead of it right now, but the plot screeches to a halt at one point. I'm thinking, you had a good pace going on, now you're losing me a bit.
Well, I think part of that was also because I think it was going to be a little longer and it was possibly going to be rated R.
Yeah, They had to cut out a lot. It was some nudity and the F-bombs.
And I think there was going to be more violence, too.
That's odd. They just didn't keep it rated R. I don't understand.
I think it was because of it being this, like, rock and roll fable, and it was at the height of MTV. They thought they could get a crowd of, like, MTV teenagers to go to the movie. Okay. But all they had was PG at the time. Like, Temple of Doom didn't even come out yet.
It was the same year, 1984.
Yeah,
yeah.
It wasn't, but they didn't come out with PG-13 yet. So when
Red Dawn came in 85, that's when that was the first movie to be PG-13. So, yeah. Okay, it's like you either go in the direction of R or go in the direction of PG. You got to have something to do.
Which for a movie called Streets of Fire, I would expect it to be R.
I want a fucking hard R.
I wanted a hard R for this movie too, honestly.
So it makes me wonder though if there might be a director's cut out there.
Yeah, I think the footage got destroyed.
Okay,
that's a fucking shame.
Okay,
like all I saw was there was a little bit of additional footage in the trailer. Like at one point, you see Dafoe say, "I want Tom Cody," and I was like, "Oh, so there is more."
Okay.
But
guess
who knows
not.
what happened to it.
They could have had a really cool, compelling setup for Tom Cody, especially when it came to the two cop characters that we see quite a bit throughout the film. One is telling the other cop a story about how he arrested Tom Cody at one point because he caught him with a gun in his glove box. Ooh, scary, man. What a real badass. Couldn't you tell something more compelling?
Well, they do say that, he gave me trouble, for a while.
Yeah, but what? For having a gun in his glove box? That's not intimidating. That's common for a lot of people.
Back then, not as much. No,
it's a little different now.
Yeah.
Okay. But, and again,
I don't know.
Another place, another time. That's why, what happens in this movie, I don't take at face value because this is a movie that's creating its own world. Like, this is literally a Walter Hill universe here. And I even said to some other people about this movie, I was like, this is like a Marvel universe before anybody did anything about it.
Yeah.
Almost like how the Halloween anthology with, like, Halloween 3 could be connected to, like, a John Carpenter, Halloween and The Fog and some of his other stuff. Like, you could still connect this, like, John Carpenter universe.
You make the case for Alien and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same universe.
Exactly. That's how I took this movie as.
Okay.
I mean, even look at the money. It wasn't our money. It was totally, I guess, alien would be the best word to use for it. Because it still had, it was paper, but it wasn't, if you saw, the symbols, it wasn't anything clearly marked.
Yeah, maybe I didn't pay close attention to that. But
I think that the problem, John, is that you're still, comparing it to, our world, when really, right off the bat, you're just supposed to disassociate with it. And it is hard because we're conditioned
for me to do that.
To do that. But, something like Batman 89, I mean, we know Batman's, a fantasy character in this fantasy universe, so it's easy to disassociate with it. But this movie, you feel like you could be Tom Cody. You feel like we could be those people walking on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the other thing. Tom Cody's not this, huge jack dude either. And also, he's not like Rambo, this Green Beret who, won the Medal of Honor. He was just a guy who joined the Army.
Yeah.
So,
he had the training, but it was he didn't have, the physical build of, the typical action
he's not
heroes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester
No.
Stallone. He's more of, a Kurt Russell type.
Yeah, you could tell he was physically fit and that, he definitely was athletic, and he knew, some sort of combat, and he had confidence in himself completely because he was, brash. He was almost like a Han Solo in a way.
Yeah. Perhaps I was distracted by Bill Paxton and his hair. His other appearance in this movie. He's not spiky-haired guy number 2 in Terminator, or he's not the military commander in Commando, but he's the bartender of Streets of Fire.
Okay, the only thing with Bill Paxton that annoyed me was, I guess it was the 4K. They cleaned it up, and you see how bad that missing tooth was. Like, the makeup.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there looking at him like, what's wrong with his fucking mouth?
They missed some grease paint detail there,
It's
maybe?
like you can see the grease paint, and then all of a sudden you see white. And I'm like, oh. And so every time he's on the screen, that's what I was looking at. Kind of took me out of
This
it.
is the drawback to 4K. Yeah. And I guess that's just kind of leads me to another thing, like the rockabilly 1950s tone. Like, I really, really like the music in this, but sometimes I feel like it doesn't quite mesh with the city environment or the attitude of the characters. I don't know. Is that just me, or does it feel like it's just kind of all over the place?
I honestly, it was two separate things to me. So, like, the 80s synth rockabilly, I guess, style that Ellen had fit more of that area.
That general public.
And then the rockabilly punk that we had in the bar was the biker gang. So I associated both that style of music with two separate areas.
That's what I did.
Okay.
I saw it as, especially because they had the live band doing the rockabilly stuff inside the bar, and I felt like that was their music. It's almost like how you get, like the goth bands that listen to Marilyn Manson or something. The goth crowd, I mean.
Yeah, and then like if you took notice, like hers was a little more poppier, theirs was a little bit heavier. So it was a drastic change of showing the attitude of each area.
Okay.
And then the segue area was more of the third style that they ended up showing towards the end of the movie. So on the way back, you got that third style of music.
Because I thought the rescue music interlude, when they're planning the breakout or the rescue of Diane Lane's character, the music that's playing in the background, I was like, oh, that kind of feels more like it. It's more of like this hard rock or like this pop rock tone that kind of fit the nature of the environment and the characters that we're seeing, and also maybe more of the attitude of the bikers, which I thought. I mean, yeah, Willem Dafoe's overalls is very interesting overalls.
But once again, it's going to be another style because now you're following Tom and McCoy, and I can't remember Moranis. That's technically their theme.
Fish.
Yeah, that's their theme. So they're they're outside of both universes. They have their own style of music. So it's just like you're basing it upon, like you said, you're thinking of it as a linear thing where music itself is actually a character. So each set of people have their own set of music. So every time you have a new scenario, you're going to have a new style of music. So when you do their breakout, you get the rockabilly, and then on the way back, you get that other style with the gentleman on the bus. You're going to have a new style. It changed it back then, but once you got back to the city...
You got doo-wop bands.
Yeah, then you got that style back.
Okay. I mean, like I said, that's just what I saw, but I know the breakout scene I thought was pretty cool, like the chaotic sequence with the motorcyclist getting blown up by the repeating rifle from the rooftop scene. But I also led me to another problem. Like, don't these bikers have any form of weapons other than their bikes? They don't have guns. They don't have anything that they can defend themselves with.
At the end, they do.
Yeah, at the end they do, but you think a gang, you'd have something or some sort of resource to counteract an attack because you've probably faced some threatening nature from somebody else before. Don't you want to defend yourselves? No, you just got your bikes.
I have the answer.
You have the answer, okay.
I have the answer. Tom Cody is just that badass.
I don't know if I can accept that.
I was going to go a more logical route. They are complacent and cocky because who is going to storm into their hideout with, let's say, 40...
Home field advantage.
Yeah, 40 different bikers in there, plus their girls, plus the music. Who has the balls to do that?
Plus, Rick Moranis even says, we can't be caught dead in the Battery. Like, their section of town is called the Battery.
Right.
So they're cocky and complacent. So, like, they have the power. So, like you said, who in their right fucking mind is going to go storming up to the fucking castle through the gate?
Well, Dafoe even has that line to Tom Cody when Cody, was blowing up everything and you see streets on fire. And Dafoe actually has that really cool entrance where he's walking through the fire and he's like, well, looks like I found somebody who's just as crazy and insane as I like to be, or it was something along those lines.
And it's this interaction where I said there should have been a backstory between these two characters. They should have known each other from the start, because maybe they're both ex-military, they had a falling out, or there was some sort of beef that they have with each other. That would have played in the character development. Also, in my opinion, given Willem Dafoe's character a reason to kidnap Diane Lane.
Yeah, there really was no reason.
There's no reason other than he's saying, I'm crazy, I have a liking for her, I like good-looking women, but maybe if there was some sort of depth between these two, he kidnapped her to put a hurting on him. Hey, you want me? Come get your girl and come after me now, because I know who you are, and I'm going to come after the things you love. It's this woman. Come on, buddy. Fight me.
I think it would have been better for a sequel, though.
I mean, but I don't think it would fit the character.
Yeah.
Because not Cody's character, Raven's character. Because, like, once I said, it's obsession. He's obsessed with this woman. He wants her. It has nothing to do with Cody. He doesn't even know about Cody.
Yeah.
And that
I think he should have known about Cody. I think he should know who he is, because that just makes the relationship deeper and just give more motivation.
I think it's too cliche at that point, and you already have a lot of cliche things like that. That standoff where Raven and Cody are talking in the fire, and Cody's ready to bounce. That's kind of like a Western standoff right there, and we got so many tropes in it from like other movies that are getting all mixed into this.
I'm just going to agree to disagree. I just feel like that just gives more character development, because a lot of these characters are very surface level. I want to know more about them. I want to get past the one-dimensional stuff.
Okay, now with that being said, though, how do you think people felt in Batman '89 when they said, "Oh, Joker killed Batman's parents"? And hardcore comic book fans were like, "What are you doing?"
I liked the fact that it was in Tim Burton's version, because that gives more motivation for Batman to go after this guy.
I liked it too,
and the discovery.
But you don't have to have it, is all I'm saying, John. I don't think it really improves it any. I think if it was in a sequel, it probably could, which kind of like leads to like a sequel being a little better and given.
I don't know. I just
kind of like what was Hans Gruber didn't know who the hell John McClane was.
Fine.
But then exactly, and it worked.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like this could have worked, because the movie itself to me feels like it is so much style over substance, and it needs to have some sort of balancing layer.
No, I agree with you there, that there is a lot more style than substance in this movie, and the substance is really like fast paced. Rumor is that they probably were going to try to do a trilogy, but it flopped. I think there was a good like stepping stone to this movie, because when I first saw it, I didn't like instantly love it. I said to Jeff, I was like, I think you got to watch it once, and then you got to watch it again, and then you got to look in and see that like they put a shit ton of effort into this movie that really isn't just this black and white. It isn't like a modern day thing, because when you watch it initially, like you're saying right now, this is why like this is a perfect conversation, because you watched it once. I watched it multiple times. I introduced it to Jeff. I laid out the foundation, and I said to him, watch it again and do some research.
Truthfully, I didn't like it the first time I watched it, because it was, like you said, it was straightforward. There's nothing to it. It wasn't until I watched it the second time that's when I picked up on the music. And all the other little character developments that were there. And then, like you said, it to me, it felt like it would have cheapened it if it was a revenge story, because you already have kidnapping, you already have the love triangle, you already have all these other tropes. You even have the racism in it. There was already so much. So if you make it a revenge story now, it now cheapens it, because you already have, 5 or 6 different tropes? So why put in a 6 or a 7?
Well, another thing I look at Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 1. Yes, at its core, it's a fucking revenge story. We've seen it a million times. But what style? And there's actually a good balance of style and substance. It actually tries to do something different. And it worked for that film. I'm not saying that they all have to work like that. I look at these characters that they've never met with each other. Well, look at the Terminators in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The T-800 never met the T-1000, but they're both Terminators existing in the same universe, but one is vastly superior over the other. So maybe one is vastly crazier than the other, but they're both ex-soldiers. They both have some kind of relationship, and it deepens the meaning behind motivation.
I mean, there you go. You just gave a story without having them to know each other. Like, yeah, they could both have military background. They don't even have to know a fucking thing about each other. And that's all it was. He became head of a biker gang, loved this girl this much, wanted her, and it just so happened this dude was already in love with her, and gets called back into town. There you go. That is the simplest it could be. You're looking for this whole fucking story that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, I am.
You're talking about a movie that's now 40 years old.
This is happening so quickly within the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then after the rescue goes so well, what do we do now? Now what?
They flesh out Diane Lane and Michael Pare.
Yes, they do, but I also have a question about that. What exactly happened between these two? Why exactly did they fall out?
He chose military over her, and she wasn't willing to wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, is it because her stardom also took off too? He wasn't expecting that? I get the very end, he says, I didn't want to be the guy carrying the guitars around. Fine, but...
I think he was the bad boy that she fell in love with, and he deeply cared about her, and he even says, nobody had a hold on me like you.
That's the one time in the whole movie where he was vulnerable to a degree. And
that's like a typical,
Western.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all of Clint Eastwood's movies. He was vulnerable with one person, but he was a straight-up fucking killer.
I guess I want to see them two bicker more. Because both be a little sour about what happened. But
now
still
you're
have
talking
those
about
feelings.
fluff. We don't need fluff. We just need it.
Because the film doesn't know where to go after the rescue. It's like, okay, now we got to get out of the situation. We're in this bus with a band called the Sorrels. Funny that they call themselves the Sorrels because I thought they said the Shirelles. The Shirelles are a 1957 doo-wop all-female group from Jersey. This is an all-doo-wop group that are all males. So I'm like, Sorrels, Shirelles? Okay, that's kind of clever. I'll give you that. I don't know if anybody picked up on that, but I picked up on that because we actually, the concert venue I used to work at, they had the Shirelles perform there.
Wait, the actual Shirelles?
I think it was a couple of lineup changes. They weren't the original cast members. They've had some musician changes here and there. Aging out, some of them probably have passed away, so they get new members to come in. Maybe there was like one legacy member that's still there.
That's why I asked.
But the old concert venue I used to work at, they got these 1950s doo-wop groups. And of course, none of them are the original members, but it's the name that people come to see, and it's the music they come to see. But I just thought that was kind of funny. I was like, did you say Sorrels? Because you're an all-male doo-wop group parodying the Shirelles. That's funny. So, I also wrote my notes, who the fuck is this chick? This random blonde girl that shows up out of nowhere, and she's now part of the team. Who is this chick?
E.G. Daily.
Yeah, like, where'd you come from? Are you just a fan of Ellen Aim and the Attackers, and now you're going to tag in with this group?
That's pretty much it. This movie is like a big, like, it's almost like Conan the Barbarian, where, like, the further he goes into the movie, he finds more friends that join his posse. And I think, like, the biggest thing that she contributed to the movie was, oh, you guys gotta hide because the cops are looking for the people who, like, bombed the battery, and they're like, oh, damn.
I mean,
that's, like, her biggest contribution.
That's it. And, like, she didn't really do much.
I mean, I guess, like, her talking to Ellen and fleshing her out a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of funny when I was reading about her. She was upset because, like, she didn't get a singing part. Because she always plays the friend or the quirky hooker or whatever. She actually wanted to... I guess at one point they were talking about giving her a part in the movie to sing, like, I guess towards the end. But clearly didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I'd see that. That was kind of random altogether. Like you said, it just somebody just joining for joining's sake. Like, hey, I'm not doing fucking anything else. Come on.
Yeah, and I think they even say, get out of here. She still hangs out with him. Like, oh, I'm your biggest fan, Ellen.
Is that why you're here? Get out of here! Like, I've got hundreds of fans. Have you seen the crowd that shows up to my concerts? Oh, man. Okay, well, the whole thing about him joining the military and her not taking off the career until later on, fine, I get. And then the whole rain sequence where he basically storms out of Rick Moranis' apartment. He did the job. He got paid for it.
She's pissed because he did it for money and not for love.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the idea that he kind of goes through a change. He doesn't take all the money. He just takes McCoy's cut and drops the rest at Moranis' feet. And then they have this little tiff in the rain, and then before you know it, it's Hump City. It goes from... It's like this is Spinal Tap. Our amps go to 11. Well, our amps in City of Fire, they go from 0 to 99. Everything goes from 0 to 99 in this movie. Like the kidnapping sequence on stage, them finally making up and you know, humping in the apartment later on, and
good for them.
Yeah,
fine, good for them. But it's not until the next fucking scene. Did you really have to knock her out to physically punch her and knock her the fuck out, dude?
Hey, in another place and another time.
What the hell is wrong with you, man? I've never been more flabbergasted at a knockout scene over a woman since Nicolas Cage donned a bear suit in the remake of The Wicker Man, where he punches the cultist out. What the hell are you doing, man? That really kind of like aggravated me.
I admit, I was like, is that necessary?
It wasn't necessary. Just have McCoy restrain her or something, or make something up. I don't know. You had to fucking knock her out.
He like right hooked her.
I'm like, that doesn't fly with me. That is a horrible, horrible decision to do.
I mean, was he trying to protect her because he was now going to go...
Yeah,
by giving her a bruise on her right side of her cheek?
Yeah, what happened was Willem Dafoe's character, Raven, he comes to the cops, and, you know, cops and the bombers don't get along, but he says, hey, either you bring me Tom Cody, or there's going to be some serious problems. And so the cops go to Tom and say, hey, you did your job, now get out of here. No. We don't want this problem. And this is after him and Ellen hooked up again. Mm-hmm. So
I feel like
hold on. So she's like all back in love with him again. And then she even says, I want to go with you, because he's like, I can't, something's going on, I can't stay here. She's like, I need to go. So he says, hey McCoy, I need you real quick. She stands behind Ellen and they're like, why are we here? And then he boom, fucking knocks her out. Oh my God. And then he says, get her to like the get her far away as possible to the safest place as possible.
And that was the only way you could have done it, by knocking her the fuck out.
Maybe
that does not fly with me.
Maybe it was the only way Tom Cody knows how to do
it. No. There must have been like 10 or 20 different ways you could have done this. And nope, fuck it, punch her. But I can tell that there had to have been more of that scene with Willem Dafoe, because the scene transition is so quick.
Yeah,
it's that scratchy tape scene transition, and to him, and then right back to the scratchy tape transition. There had to have been more, and that's one of those editing blunders I'm talking about. There had to have been more to that scene that maybe got lost, or that they didn't finish, because that was a messy transition once again.
Maybe they were swearing or something.
I mean, just the whole thing just feels like it's a colorful, kinetic mess of a film, honestly.
Well, see, this is interesting, because you know, you watched it once and you're like really diving into the hate portion of it. And like I said, I watched it once and was like, okay, I don't see what everybody else sees. But then I watched it again. I'm like, okay, I watched it again then. And I was like, this movie gets better and better the more you watch it. Look at Jeff. And I told him, I said, I don't think you're going to like this movie initially. But give it a little bit and then go back and you'll be like, huh.
I didn't even give it like a little bit. I literally watched it the next day because I was like, all right, I'm like, what the fuck am I missing? Because like I said, I was where you're at, and I'm like, what am I fucking missing? So when I watched it again, that's when I started noticing all the little things that started pulling up. If I watch it a third time, I'll see more. It's a sleeper. And
and we're not like bashing on you, John. This is actually like a great conversation, because like I started this whole thing, and then it went to Jeff, and then it went to you, and see like how I said, like this is a movie that grows on you. I don't know too many people who actually did say, "Oh, I saw this movie and instantly fell in love with it." I just know people that said they saw it and were like, "This is like an underrated classic." And I see it now. Initially, I was like, "A classic?"
I just think of this more as a product of the 80s. Now, that's not a detriment to 80s films, because there are some that I instantly love. For example, John Carpenter's The Thing. I didn't understand why critics were so divided with this movie, but I instantly loved it when I first saw it when I was younger. I saw all these reviews give it like 2 stars, 1 stars. And that, I don't agree with you. That doesn't make sense. And then I see a lot of the critics changing their minds, thinking, no, this is actually better than the original. For this movie, yeah, I can't say if I'm going to love this movie after a second viewing, but I will say one thing. The flaws are incredibly noticeable to me, and I think if I do give it more of the positive, it's because the music elevates this movie, and it's what's causing me to give it a more positive favor is because of how good the music is. But those flaws are never going to leave me alone. I'm never going to forgive the editing or the messiness. I'm never going to forgive the knockout scene on Diane Lane. I'm not going to get over that. I'm sorry, but that is such a terrible, terrible idea to put in the film.
No, I agree with you. I think it could have been handled differently. I don't know if that again falls in with this. Like I said to Jeff, I was like, we don't even know if this is Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So laws may not apply the way we see it.
I don't know.
I mean, I know it's almost like a cheap excuse. It's kind of like saying, like you watch a horror movie and you go, well, what happened to this person? And the director says, oh, well, it's all in your imagination. And it's scarier because it's your imagination. And it's like, well, no, I want to see it. Like, I could just read a book, and use my imagination for that. Like, it could be as simple as being as cheap as, well, another place, another time, maybe Earth, maybe not. Maybe it's, year 20 blah, blah, blah,
In the year 20 blah, blah, blah.
On the same concept. Star Wars, A Galaxy Far, Far Away. It's literally pulling you out of where the fuck you're at, what time you're watching this movie, and be like, this is a place over here, and could be even a multiverse.
That little short tagline did the job right. I just feel like this tagline, calling it a rock and roll fable, I'm still in the mindset that this is on planet Earth. That it's not like it's some distant planet or some sci-fi epic. I'm just thinking that this is just 40 years ago in Chicago.
What was the last word in that?
In Chicago?
No. Fable.
Fable?
Most stories and fables are
they're
fantastical.
There's stuff of legends and
exactly.
myth, but I think there's not enough of the fantasy that gets me into that mindset. I'm sorry.
Willem Dafoe in those fucking overalls. All right, I'm just pointing that out.
That's enough.
That is enough for me to go. All right, now we're in sci-fi.
To question the wardrobe department over the Fable angle. I'm sorry. That's a choice. He woke up and put those overalls on. That's a choice.
He wore them fucking proudly, too.
I can't tell if he's ready to fight somebody or go fillet a fish or something. My God.
No, but I'll also say that Dafoe looked menacing, though.
Mm-hmm. Especially you see it in that final confrontation. The big fight that we're all getting ready for. His face is twitching. It looks like he's not getting any sleep. It looks like he's hopped up on coffee or caffeine or cocaine. I don't know. Anything.
Probably cocaine.
Probably cocaine. It has to be. It's the 80s. It's cocaine.
Yeah.
But
yo, Willem, take this.
I honestly don't think he needs it.
Yeah, he probably doesn't need it, but he's got his eye stare. I mean, I've seen his eye stare in Speed 2 Cruise Control, so that's...
when he has that air horn, he doesn't even look human when he does that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Cody defeats him and just knocks the sledgehammer down, and Cody even throws his down and be like, "Hey, I don't need this," and you can see that Dafoe gets pissed off, and when he does that,
he clenches those fists. I'm like, you've heard of Wilhelm's scream, now you hear of Willem's scream. Wilhelm's scream.
It was great.
But I was also wondering, where's McCoy during all this? You think that she would be there?
He took Ellen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. That's right. That's why she's not there.
The whole scene that you hate kind of leads into
the whole scene that I hate for obvious reasons. But and you think Bill Paxton was so gung-ho about watching this fight, and he runs away like a scared little kid.
Well, he thought it was just going to be like 5 people and then a whole army, which I think were some real Hell's Angels actually showed up, and he's like, oh, shit.
Well, this is when you get your popcorn ready, Bill Paxton. Go in the bar and get your popcorn ready.
I think he was like the comedic relief of the whole movie.
Oh, for sure.
He got his ass kicked in his own bar.
I know, that was
for
great.
a bottle of tequila.
Yeah, we don't take kindly to tabs. Well, here, I'll just pay it. Now, can I get my drink? No. Why? Because I don't like your face.
This is like a response I would use.
See, they were ahead of their time. Well, they even said that the girl that was dancing in the bar with the bombers, that was actually the Flashdance girl who did the dancing. Mm-hmm. But somebody said, and they made a really good point, they were like, I couldn't tell if this was actually a guy or a girl. I was like, maybe they were doing the... Maybe that was like a gender bending...
Maybe it was.
Like they thought, like, hey, this is something that's going to be like progressive in the future or something, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of...
I was just accepting the scene. Like, okay, it's playing out. Let it play out.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that. I mean, I always look at stuff, face value at first, because that's... I just enjoy it more. I soak in the moment like that. It's like people when they go to like a concert or someplace and they always got to have their cell phone out. I'm like, okay, a picture or two here or there, but just live in the moment. And then I feel like that helps me like understand the whole picture better, just like sitting back and not just letting it be the movie.
That's what I was doing in that moment.
And then I go back and I did, and I think that's what helped me more. I sat back, I watched this first, and was just like, okay.
Also because the music was catchy too. I'm like, I like the song that they're
playing. The music was very catchy.
The bands are great. Like the bands, what are they? The Roadmasters, the Attackers, the Blasters. That's just 3 of them, but there's a number of them. But
that's like 50s names.
They are 50s rockabilly type names.
And I do.
Ellen Aim and the Attackers. That's definitely like a 50s style trope.
And I think it's pretty cool because it almost was like a modern day comic book movie where they took like these flashy elements like the neon lights and some of the stuff that you saw in the inner cities and like the grunginess that needed a hero. Like Ellen Aim was like that hero that everybody liked because she was in the dark dingy city and she got out and she became successful, and that's why people looked up at her, and that's why it was important to get her back. And then when she even has that line, I just want to go back to my hotel and sleep and then get out of this city. And I think it was Tom Cody's sister Reva who says, is that really how you feel, Ellen? She's like, yeah, I guess. But then when the fight ends and the bombers are defeated, spoilers.
Oh no.
Oh no, we knew it was going to happen. Yeah. Good guy beats bad guy, we know.
But Ellen still comes back and puts on a show at the end and plays for the crowd again.
And that last interaction with the two, why did she not slug him back? Because I would have done that shit in a heartbeat. You punch me, I'm going to fucking wail on you now.
No, she kissed him.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
She was still in love with him. And that was the whole thing. Like, all right, so in the group chat...
So you don't fucking slug him back? After he knocks you the fuck out? Give him a shiner. And he'd be like, okay, I deserve that. Maybe, yeah, you did deserve it and more.
Maybe he got the Jimmy King.
Yeah, we don't know. Because there was a quick interaction. There was a group of people.
It was edited out.
Yeah.
Maybe she kicked him in the diddly. Here, let me help you up again. Bam!
It was edited out. That's why you hate the editing.
Oh my god.
You didn't see the part.
Oh my gosh.
Tom Cody, how does your diddly feel? Feels like Richard Petty drove a stock car going into my balls going 400 miles an hour.
Yeah, the fucking guy deserved it, honestly. I'm like, why didn't you not slug him back?
But here's the thing. How can you be the hero and a shit person?
Because he's Tom Cody.
But I'm also wondering, did he go... I mean, I feel like Rick Moranis went through a bigger character arc than he did.
Well,
I don't know. Is it just me, or did he really not change from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie?
It's not supposed to. It's not a hero's journey.
No. It's literally about saving the girl.
Well, somebody goes through some kind of change. It's a proven formula. That's why it works in all the good movies.
But you don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody...
Nobody did, actually. Except maybe...
That's why I...
And that's a problem that I have.
Like see, that's why I respect this movie. It doesn't... It has these cliche tropes, But then it's not a movie for people. It's a movie that's a movie to be this movie. It's like, remember when you watched M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, or, yeah, was it Glass?
Which one are you?
Or Broken? But wait,
Split?
Unbreakable?
Unbreakable. The one in 2001.
Yeah, and people were all like, man, that ending sucked. And M. Night Shyamalan said, I wasn't making an ending for the people. I was making the ending for the story. I think that's what this movie is. It's a movie for the story. Like, Tom Cody's this character. Like, you don't have to like him, but he's our hero.
Oh,
and it's different because, like, this could be the example as to, like, do you want to stick to the formula, or do you want to stray away and have somebody go through a character arc? But not all of them do. Like,
I feel like, I don't know.
Like, Superman doesn't really go through a character arc. You know?
I mean,
well, maybe not. Maybe, like, it's not a physical one, but like an emotional one or a different mindset. Anything. It could be just something subtle.
Well, I think the arc is at the end that you think that he should have the girl back because he still loved her and they got back together. And he's like, no, I can't. Like, this is your life. I don't fit in. I'm just me. But I'm not going to hold you back. You go be the rock star. Because even Rick Moranis says, she loves you. And he said, but she needs you. And, oh no, he said, she loves... Wait, how... I forget what order it was, but he said that she needs you more than she needs me, and Rick Moranis says to Cody, yeah, but she loves you, and he goes, she'll get over it.
Well, here's another thing I'm going to throw back to, because maybe in the very beginning of the film, he could have, like, I wish I was still with her, but he does it all for the money. That's the thing. He's all about the money, but maybe he secretly does want to be back with her, but then he realizes, if I really love her, I got to let her go. So that's his character arc. I want to get her back, but then I realize, no, I gotta do what's right by both of us and let her go. I mean, it could have been that subtle of a character arc, even for the most hardened, musclehead bound guys you can find in these 80s movies.
Yeah, I think no matter what, he wants her back, but he knows he can't have her back. But he still loves her, and he goes to save her.
She still should have knocked him out.
But that's his arc. Is that he knows he can't have her even in the end. And he kind of put the money as the facade and he even says, like, yeah, I did it for the money. You think I really came here for you? And it pissed her off. And you can kind of see he's like, yo, she really does hate me. Like, you could tell it's eating at him.
Yeah.
And then when she says out in the rain, what did I do? That was so wrong. And then they hook up.
But throughout the film, he does romanticize it back. He looks at her picture and then it, like, plays some
ballad
in the background. Even before he's ready to, like, scope out the bad guys, scope out the bikers, he actually looks through her, and all of a sudden you think another music video is going to break out before he starts shooting the gang. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're back to this again? This really does feel like an MTV music video at times. But I mean, that's what I have to say about it. I almost feel like when he's looking at her on stage while she's playing that song, I kept thinking, this moment needs that ballad from Cinderella to be playing. Don't know what you got till it's gone. I'm like, that's what this scene needs right now.
Oh my gosh.
Be so on the nose that you should play this ballad. This really terrible hair metal 80s ballad.
No, I actually like the ending. I totally get it, and especially the more and more that I understand this movie. And he just, like, when he's watching her on stage, he just sees, like, that's her element.
Yeah.
He said that, like, he knows that's for her, and it's one of those things, like, if you love somebody enough to let them go, you will. And that's what he was doing. He realizes, like he said, I'm not carrying your guitar cases isn't for me. You know, he I guess he knows, like, he's like an uneducated person. He obviously joined the military.
Hey, be the bodyguard she didn't have from the start. There you go. Be her enforcer. Make sure no one messes with her ever again. You could do something else than carry guitars. I mean, you've got resources. You've got a skill set. Put it to use.
Listen, we're not watching Taken.
Maybe we are. No.
I forget what
it's just Taken before Taken.
I remember the sequel titles were pretty good. I think the third one was going to be called Cody Returns.
Streets of Fire, Cody Returns.
Yeah, but that was going to be the third one.
Okay.
So he probably wasn't going to be in the second one.
Well, that would make sense. Why would you call it that if he was in the second movie?
Exactly. So, because he does leave. He leaves with McCoy at the
Yeah,
end.
I don't mind that too. Like, those two feel like they have a good camaraderie, and it makes sense for them to take off in the car under the bridges of Chicago, and the songs playing in the background. But
do they ever say the name of the city that they're in?
They say, like you said, it's the Battery. I forget what they call that section where the
Like a borough.
Yeah, they never actually call it what it is. So that was our debate. Yesterday? We're trying to figure out what this city was, and like me and you were both like, it's got to be Chicago. Yes, the day scenes are all Chicago. All the night scenes are L.A.
yeah,
So it was kind of funny us trying to figure out where it was taking place, but it was like you can see definitely the Chicago parts of it.
okay, yeah, you definitely can. Oh yeah, from the architecture, just the overall locations, it's clearly Chicago.
But they did do a sequel. It was unofficial, same, but it had the same two people. Was it McCoy and
Michael
Cohen?
Pare.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they said it's 2016 or 2018 it came out, so it's way past its prime.
And wasn't it like... It was like Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven bad. I
That
think.
quality
Yeah.
bad. Oh god,
I didn't see. I was like, oh shit, they actually did a sequel, and then I
That's
saw.
terrible.
I'm like, oh, it's probably not going to be good.
Yeah,
Because
like they used an onboard microphone. I would assume. From what I heard, it
They
was
shot the whole thing wild.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was really bad.
I assume Walter Hill did not direct that one, or did he?
Oh yeah, he did.
Oh, he did?
No,
No, I was going to say, I almost believed you. Like, no fucking way did he make the sequel.
dude, the look on your face though. He did.
Yeah, dude, he fell off the face of the earth. You kidding me? He's far away from the Warriors. He's far away from 48 hours and another 48 hours.
He's in the Battery, guarded by the Warriors. It only takes 48 hours to get there.
Oh goodness.
Well, you got to cross the streets there.
I'm going to throw this out, too. I also had another blunder. When this text train was going on between the three of us, you sent me an image of Willem Dafoe doing his Willem Scream moment with the Cobra-style haircut. I'm just like, yeah, that's a great scene from Free Jack, because, hell, let's be honest, Mick Jagger was the best part of that fucking movie. You're like, John, that's Willem Dafoe. Get the fuck out of here. That's not him. Are you kidding me? That looks like Mick Jagger from Free Jack. That's a pretty bad sci-fi movie, but he was awesome in that movie. No, John, it's Willem Dafoe from Streets of Fire. Have you ever heard of this movie? No, Colin, I've never heard of this movie.
I didn't yell at you like that.
No.
He yelled at you.
I did. And then I see 2 pictures of.
Yeah, I like that. John, how the fuck do you not realize this is Willem Dafoe and
Well,
this is
fuck
Mick
me,
Jagger?
I guess. But does he or does he not look like Mick Jagger from Free Jack? He kind of does.
I can kind of see it, but
I've never seen Free Jack, so
You don't need to see
I'm
it.
untainted by that one, apparently.
Emilio Estevez, Anthony Hopkins,
Oh.
and Mick Jagger, who I was told was the best part of that movie. It's a sci-fi film, and yeah.
boy, what an ensemble.
I mean, Emilio Estevez?
Yeah.
And
Rene Russo, too.
Whoa,
wow.
whoa.
Hold up. Now I feel like we're going to have to watch this.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rene Russo's in the movie, too.
That's
Well,
a lot of heavy hitters, though,
yeah.
for a shitty movie.
Joff Murphy is the director. He did Young Guns. That's how Emilio Estevez came
okay.
into play.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And Anthony Hopkins did that movie like after Silence of the Lambs. He's like, yeah, I didn't see the movie. I just did this because it was the
I
next
like
thing
money.
in line.
Yeah.
I like money.
I
got
money.
clout. I just won the Oscar. Give me some money.
Anthony Hopkins is a great actor.
Yeah.
But
But like I said,
Rene
I
Russo,
thought
though?
that was Mick Jagger from Free Jack. We're like, no, John, it's Willem Dafoe from Streets of Fire. Like, get the fuck out of here. That's not
And
him.
then I sent 2 gifts of
Yeah. This is like, John, how the fuck do you not see the difference?
Because they look kind of similar.
Maybe that's the style they were going for.
Oh, that could be.
They saw how he looked, and they're like, oh, cool.
Like, who was a badass rocker, like, back in the 60s, or, you know, like, who could have fit in the 50s, who was, like, a 60s rocker or something.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Free Jack came much later than Streets of Fire, but yes. Yeah. That's another conversation. I had to share that.
Oh my gosh.
So that's Streets of Fire.
I still laugh at the one I did was it yesterday or the day before when we were talking about setting up for this episode. And I was literally the one from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and it goes,
Yes.
I'm a loner, I'm a rebel, and like that's the ending out of context. And they're like, you're like, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
But what made it even funnier was I didn't realize it was E.G. Daily in the clip that I said.
Yeah. Oh man.
But honestly, like, do either of you have any favorite scenes? I know John pretty much hates the movie, but
Well, I actually
I didn't say that.
Here's an
But
interesting question, John. Would you give this movie a second chance?
not right now, but eventually I probably would.
no,
give it
you're
a
going home
second.
tonight. And
No, I'm not going to go home tonight and rewatch it. I'm going to give it some time.
Just don't break
Because
my
I'm
disc.
just telling you right now, I'd rather listen to the soundtrack over watching the movie again anytime soon.
Hey, you want it? I
But
got it
I'm
on my
sure,
phone.
I'm sure I would watch it again. But like I told you, the flaws are still there. The issues with the film are hardwired into my brain, and I can't unsee that. So I'm going to have issues with them. So if I do, like I said, give it maybe a little more favoritism, it's going to be because of the music.
Okay, I don't want to get sued.
Speaking of the music, though, originally they were going to use a Bruce Springsteen song for that, but when
Thank God they didn't.
But when he found out that they weren't going to use his voice, they were going to use a woman's voice, he's like, no.
Well,
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen's an asshole anyway, so fuck him.
Streets of Fire, isn't that also a Bruce Springsteen song too?
They were going to try to use it over the end credits. Did they actually do it?
No, I don't think they did.
Okay.
No. The end credits was still the last Ellen Aim song.
Okay.
Which is funny because some
When
of
it
the
rolls to black and they do the ending credit scene,
Oh, that I don't know. I think
that's a different song.
I think it was the
He's going to look. But yeah.
Check it out, but
I
Yeah,
think it might have been that Dan Hartman song. I can dream about you. Because that was like the big hit song. They said that the soundtrack in that song was like specifically what made it was like more successful than the movie.
Mhm.
And they said people probably don't even realize these songs were from this movie
I mean,
because the
like
movie
you said,
got that forgotten.
they were that catchy. It was actually a really easy listen to.
Yeah, like when I found out Jim Steinman was the guy who wrote the two main Ellen Aim songs, I was like, "Oh, that makes total sense." Like now I hear, it's definitely a Meatloaf song.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Honestly, dude, Bad Out of Hell's probably like his best album.
Oh, absolutely,
It
that's
is.
a classic.
it is.
That's why he did it 2 other times. But
And Sorcerer, like I said, I knew that was a Stevie Nicks song instantly. And I think when you listen to the actual song on the soundtrack, towards the very end of the song, Stevie does sing.
oh, really? That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, like the main singer who does sing it, they kind of like duet and intertwine, and then Stevie just kind of like plays it out until it fades out then.
Who actually does the singing voice?
Good question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was like,
either.
out of everything that we looked up, that was the one thing I didn't realize it was a different
because
person.
I was still under the impression that Diane Lane was singing her ass off on that stage.
That's crazy.
But that's why I said, I was like, damn, man,
Figured-
Diane Lane's just kicking
She's
ass. She was only 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Good looking actress. She was one of my favorite parts in the whole movie. Was
Yeah,
Diane
she
Lane
is.
and Willem Dafoe. Those were my two favorite performers in the film.
I said to Jeff, I was like, dude, when you watch this movie, you're going to see Diane Lane and see that she is sexy as fuck. And at first he was like, you put Diane Lane and sexy in the same sentence? And I was like, just watch.
Yeah. Hence why I forgot it was Diane Lane.
Watch the movie. But yeah, I definitely have a favorite scene. I mean, it's honestly the first 10 minutes of the film. We were going into that originally.
I'm actually shocked.
Yeah, my favorite scene is the opening 10, 15 minutes of the film because, and also when I was going through the Rotten Tomato reviews, I noticed that a lot of critics were saying the same thing.
Yeah.
That opening sequence is fucking awesome, and I couldn't help but agree. That is my favorite scene of the whole movie, is the opening 15 minutes. And then, of course, you already know my least favorite scene, the cliche kissing in the rain scene that led to the punch, the knockout. What the fuck? That doesn't need to be there. That's so unnecessary, and it was so wrong. So wrong. I don't care if it was a different era or a different universe, whatever it's trying to be. That's so fucking wrong and so unnecessary and dumb. I'm like, I kind of hate you a little bit more now, Tom Cody. Because, like, that just makes you less of a man right now. Like, what the fuck, dude? You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
Well, to be fair, Ellen Aim didn't even have a black eye, so maybe he knew
Maybe she's
something we
wearing
didn't.
makeup. She has to go on stage again.
Yeah, but I mean, she still kissed him. Maybe
She should have fucking punched
maybe
him back.
She liked it. No, I know.
No.
All bad. No, I don't condone abuse to women. I really don't. Actually, I've gotten into fights with people who I know hurt women. So
Yeah, that just made you less of a man, Tom Cody. I'm sorry. So
yeah, I remember that scene took me back. I was just like, what the fuck? I remember, like, I think I even had to rewind it real quick and go, did he punch Ellen?
I did the same thing. I rewound it back. I'm like, yes, he did. Yes, he fucking did.
It really was one of those, did I just see that?
Like I said, Nicolas Cage in a bear suit knocking out the cultist. What the fuck was that? Did they really put that in a movie?
Yes. Yes, they did.
Colin?
Me?
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes, actually, is when Tom Cody gets on the motorcycle after he destroyed the battery, and Willem Dafoe comes walking out in the fire. And despite Willem Dafoe having a pretty slender frame, he's very muscular.
Yeah.
And at that time, especially like in the 1950s, I mean, it's so different in America because we have like an obesity problem. But like back in like the 50s, you know, like true 50s in America, a slender build like that with muscle was an ideal look. Like 160 to 180 pounds was like a solid frame of muscle, you know, because we took athleticism and gym classes more seriously. Plus, I mean, we weren't like living in a busy gung-ho society like we are now, where like we basically live off of fast food because we don't have much of a choice. But fact of what I'm getting back to is that was a good look for his character to be like really muscular like that, walk through the flames, and you know, Dafoe being Dafoe, playing the bad guy to, you know, a T that he always does. You know, it was kind of like the devil coming out of the fire. And then he's talking to Tom Cody, and the coolest part about Tom Cody is he doesn't even sweat this fucking dude.
No. He's like, he didn't give a fuck who you were.
Yeah, he's like, oh, finally I met somebody that's just as crazy and insane as I am. And he's like, yeah, well, I guess it's your lucky night. You know, like, okay. And he's just talking to this dude, and he goes, how about you give me your name? And he goes, Tom Cody. Pleased to meet you. And then Dafoe says, well, I'll be coming for her. And then I'll be coming for you, too. He's like, yeah, I'll be waiting. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, come at me, bro.
It's like a typical Tuesday. Let's fucking...
Typical Tuesday.
And that's what I liked. Like, Tom Cody just was like, fuck it, dude. You know, you want to come at me, come at me. The only reason why he was going to leave was because the cop said, dude, you got to get out of here. Don't mess the city up. You know, your job's done. Just get out. But then when he, you know, you can't trust Raven. And then what does Tom Cody do? He shows up anyway. Well, he couldn't leave because the bomber stopped the trains. That was the other reason why he said to McCoy, get Ellen out of here. Because she's going to be like, I love you, I want to be with you. And he was like, nope. She's got to go. Or else she's going to get hurt. Least favorite scene, John, I agree with you. I think, you know, like, I was literally like, what the fuck did he do? You know, punching her in the face and knocking her out. I think, I wouldn't say, like, the scene, but also, like you said, after the rescue, it does get kind of slow, and then the cops that were slowing him down, and Billy the Fish is paying him off, but it's still not good enough. It got a little, like, okay...
Yeah, what do we do now?
But then I also see, like, well, they're not really following the rule of threes exactly either. They're, you know, the hero isn't, you know, he doesn't get the girl at the end. He's I gotta do what's best for her, and I gotta let her go. And when I said that, like, Ellen is also the light of the city because she was the hometown girl who left and became successful. She's the inspiration to everybody, and everybody's loving her music. She even has that line at the end of the song, especially after she just said, yeah, I just want to go rest up and leave. But then when she sings, there's a line about, we're doing this for the desperate and the brokenhearted. Like, so, like, that last song was very fitting to give everybody that yeah, I'm here again to help you all out. I thought that was really cool. And then Tom Cody's not the hero we want to be, but he's the hero for the movie. I mean, he's clearly a bum. You know, there's nothing really inspirational about it. But
I believe the word you're looking for is shitbag.
Yeah. But, and I also like that, like I said before, he wasn't this Medal of Honor winner. He even says to McCoy, I just joined the Army because I like shooting guns. I never won a medal or anything. So you're kind of like, well, how badass is this guy? Well, he was in the Army. So he knows a thing or two better than the rest of us schmucks.
I say, honestly, I don't really have a favorite scene, but I enjoyed just Willem Dafoe, even as short as his appearance was. It felt like an extended cameo for the amount that he was on screen. But his presence was so big, it made the most sense of what he was. Mm-hmm. And like every time you saw him, he didn't disappoint. He literally fucking went all in. Literally. But it's like you can get like a lot of iconic facial expressions. You can get a lot of intensity just out of his face, and it was impressive.
His voice too. He's got a very distinct voice.
He does.
That fits that personality of a bad guy. Like, it's kind of weird when he does play some good guys, like in Finding Nemo. And he's like this fatherly figure. It's like, ooh, I don't know.
It's all right, Nemo.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like, ah, man, this doesn't.
He is known for playing all these neurotic characters. I mean, he was Nosferatu at one point.
And he was fan-fucking-tastic.
Shadow the Vampire.
Or should I say, fang-fucking-tastic.
Oh, lame. My favorite lighthouse keeper of all time. And now he's a vampire hunter in Robert Eggers' Nosferatu film, so it's like coming full circle.
I mean, even the short scene he had in... not short scene, little character thing he had in John Wick was actually really impactful, too.
Yeah.
He played the devil in that, was it a car commercial or something?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything less. But I believe he's more well-known as the Green Goblin, because that's not
especially now because of
is it the multiverse one?
Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home.
No Way Home. Yeah. But he had to fight to get that role because Sam Raimi was not going to choose him. He had to specifically fight for that role, and Sam Raimi ended up going with him anyway, and it ended up being a home run. He was not going to cast him.
I remember there was talk about John Malkovich possibly doing it.
Interesting.
That would have been interesting. I like Malkovich. Although, speaking of other distinct voices, Spider-Man, get your fucking webby ass over here.
I love the College Humor one where he's trying to do the John Malkovich voice for Batman. Where were the other drugs going? Fuckface. Where were the other drugs going? Where were the other drugs going? Oh, sorry, Alfred, I lost my voice. We're getting off topic, I know.
We gotta do a Malkovich movie.
Why don't we do Being John Malkovich next?
I mean, even
Shadow of the Vampire.
Oh, there you go.
That was the movie I watched. I usually pick a good movie as a New Year's tradition. Shadow of the Vampire was the one I put in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
We can do it.
Spider-Man webby ass over here.
His bald head, I can see him being more like Vulture.
Well, then he was gonna be in Spider-Man 4, but then they didn't do anything with it.
Wait, he was gonna be Vulture for real?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's even better.
Yeah, so he was in Raimi's radar.
Yeah.
But then we got Michael Keaton, though, so...
I'm happy what we got with Michael Keaton.
Me too.
I'm actually happy with all 3 Spider-Verses. Well, technically 4 now, including Miles. And honestly... this is another talk for another time. Never mind. We're way off fucking topic.
Yeah, we are. Willem Dafoe's awesome. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite characters. In the movie, he should have been featured more, but that's neither here nor there.
I really respect this movie. Do I think it's this great masterpiece? Maybe with a couple more views, I might see it again. Because I feel like this is definitely a movie that you got to watch over and over and over again. But you like it more, whether it's just a little bit or a lot. I think... it just takes multiple views because we're so conditioned to the way we have been treated by regular movies. And this totally broke the mold. Like how Shyamalan makes a movie that's right for the story. Walter Hill, is that his name?
Walter Hill, yes.
He made this movie to be the story for the movie. And that's what I really respect about it. The hero does not get the girl. You know, he puts on a facade that he did it for money, but I think he would have taken it if she wasn't, like, completely heartbroken. But I think he was actually hurt more that she did hate him then. And
I think so.
And that's why he was just like, you know what, I got to show her. And then, because he's the one who lays the kiss on her in the rain.
Probably a delete scene, walks back and says, I fucking need this.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, that's actually McCoy's. I miscounted. But Rick Moranis, I mean, he was excellent in this movie, too.
He surprised me because I just kept... I wanted to keep seeing Lewis from Ghostbusters or the dad from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I wanted to see that character so much because he had those thick glasses and his outfit. And even they make fun of that in the movie, too. Yeah. McCoy especially does. I don't know what's more pathetic, the way you talk or the way you dress.
Dude, he was slimy.
But he was slimy.
Hey, these clothes cost more than your life.
More than you make in a year.
Is that what
I don't know. It could be in one of those two. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said before, I will give this another review, but not right now because I need to digest things that I've just seen. I do think that it's a classic example of style over substance. The music is really cool. I love all the bands. I love the kinetic energy in spots because the plot does screech the brakes mightily. I'm going to stand by this. I wanted more character development. I know that, there are certain cliches that they did and they didn't do in this movie, but there's a reason why these character arc and these character development things are proven formula because they work in some of the best films. And I think this could have used more of a balance of substance to counteract with the incredible style. And I didn't get that. So, I mean, my two favorite performances were from Diane Lane and from Willem Dafoe. Michael Pare is his name?
Pare.
I don't really know him. I've never really seen him in anything else. I mean, I kind of did a little brief search on IMDb. He's still around acting, but mostly directed DVD stuff. But I thought he was okay. He didn't wow me. I guess it almost kind of seemed like he was trying to do like his best Snake Plissken impersonation too, in a way. At times, maybe he was just being himself. I don't know. But I appreciate that he wasn't this big macho meathead like something you'd find from Schwarzenegger or Stallone, not the quintessential 80s action hero. He wasn't that. He was an average guy. That's fine. That works. But his performance, I thought, was just kind of lacking.
I think that's the heart of Tom Cody.
Yeah.
I honestly think that that's just what Tom Cody is. Okay. I mean, you could see it like that, and I can understand why. Yeah. I mean, but this is why we have discussions like this. Yeah,
maybe it's just his line delivery just didn't quite work for me at times. But I can tell when he was being genuinely serious and when he was trying to break through the mold of this hardened, badass soldier. But there are moments where it just feels like he's trying to emote. Maybe. Or trying to be a tough guy, and it's not working for me. I like McCoy. I like McCoy a lot. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about her other than being an ex-soldier or used to be a soldier.
Well, she was a soldier, and then they ran out of wars.
There you go. Yeah. Her, I mean, could have seen some more of her training or more of like her in her element again. But she did have some moments. But
they did say that she was in love too because she was trying to talk to Cody about what was up with him and Ellen, and he was hard to crack with it. And she said, "Well, I was in love, but my guy cheated on me, and I think he abused her." And she said that was before I became a soldier.
Yeah, I just felt like she was one of the few characters that had some background. One of the few that had some back. I mean, I understand you can't give all your characters a character arc. You can't give all your characters a background. But the ones that we see on camera the most, you got to try and do something. I just didn't see that with some of the characters that we were focusing on throughout the runtime. So, yeah.
I got you. No, I really enjoyed this discussion. Like, Jeff, what did you think overall, like, with your experience?
Yep. Like I said, I actually more enjoyed it the second time. And it, like I said, you start looking for just the little things to start pulling through. So, like, if you're taking it, like you said, the first watch is face value, you're probably going to hate it. Like, you're probably going to hate it. It wasn't until, like, the second watch through, you already know the story, you're kind of now, like, looking at it as this fable coming through, and you're seeing, like, the characters coming through, you're seeing the music, you're seeing that the music itself played a part, and then you're seeing that the surroundings played a character, so it's kind of like everything's coming forward. Probably if I watch it another time, I'll notice even more little things. It's actually, like I said, it was a sleeper, and first watch, you're probably going to hate it. Second watch, you're going to notice more, and then more and more and more. Is it the most fantastic movie I've ever watched in my life? No. But I'm just a dude that loves horror movies, and honestly, I love the fact that Colin suggested this.
Thank you.
And it's nice. What is it? The words I'm looking for. Change in pace.
Well, that's why I was really into it. Like I said, I was a bit Mahoning constantly.
We both were.
Yeah, and saw this trailer, and I was like, okay, I gotta check this out.
Yeah, maybe we just did something for our audience members a favor who've never seen Streets of Fire, because I've never seen it until 3 weeks ago. Maybe we shed some light on some new viewers.
Well, not only that, but this movie's like very unique because it's like I said, it's a movie that is a movie for its movie purpose. You know, it doesn't follow. It's like a rebel, actually. Like Hollywood says, follow this criteria. Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to make this movie that tells this story because everybody saw the same stuff. So let's change it up a bit. Why create your own world? Say maybe it is an Earth. Say this is another place, another time. It looks like Chicago, smells like Chicago, but it's not Chicago.
Yeah.
I didn't see pizza up there either.
Hot
I got
dogs.
an eye for that.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, so.
A Portillo's.
But I think the best word that I can say about Streets of Fire is I respect it. And I think it's really cool that the love it gets now. Like, if you go on YouTube and see the reviews and hear what fans say, or hear, like, how they sometimes have similar reactions the way we did, or people who said, you know, I had this opportunity to see this in the theater back in the 80s, and I regret that I didn't, because this looks like a good movie to sit down, like, soak in the music and the action of the movie as well, and, like, hear this music, watch a story be told in front of you, have a different experience with it. Because people had even said, this is like a musical, but it's not exactly a musical. Mm-hmm. Like one of the things, like, remember I said Diane Lane has the line, you know, we're dancing tonight for the desperate and the brokenhearted at the very end. You know, like, everybody was upset and torn that she was kidnapped and what she said, but here she's bringing everybody to life again and having a good time. And when Tom Cody breaks out his wallet and has the picture, yeah, and she's singing a song called "It'll Never Be You."
Also, there's a lot of foreshadowing too. That
like also think about the first song. It's called "Nowhere Fast." You know, and that's how it starts off. It's basically like her saying that her and Cody were like, "Hey, it's, you know, we were stuck here, but now we're going nowhere fast." Because you want to go here, I want to do this, but we still want to be together. Yeah.
It's like a choral ode in theater.
Yeah,
the chorus dictating the plot, right, or what's going to happen in the future.
And like I said, that's those layers. Now, people may hate it for it. I mean, like, people may hear this and go, well, I just want to see a movie told beginning to end, blah, blah, blah. Like Jeff, you with Blair Witch Project. Yeah.
Stuff like it.
Exactly. You know, some people might respect this movie for that, and maybe others not so much. I could definitely see, like if somebody, like a film student, if they made this movie, and a teacher would be like, this movie was absolutely trash, what were you thinking of making this? But then other people saw it and said, no, I really like this movie, and then the ball gets rolling, and then it snowballs and becomes bigger, and it's like, yo, teach, what the fuck were you saying to me? Eat a dick.
Oh my god.
But I do see what you're talking about, like, where it did fit in with his other movies. So, like, Warriors and stuff like that. Like you said, it's the same universe. Because even in Warriors, I felt like there was not a lot of character arc.
No.
They just had to go from point A to point B.
Yeah,
And
Warriors
survive.
Warriors was what? Like, this gang from this borough and that gang from that borough.
Trying to kill one gang, and it's all of New York. Well, New York, air quotes. And they're trying to get from point A to point B. So it's like, yeah, it could be in the same universe. Tom Cody might have been there at some point, too. Who knows?
Hey, Warriors, I heard you wanted to play.
And then they get held up in a building in a siege mode. Now it's Assault on Precinct 13.
And I think that's another cool thing, too, that you see this movie and you go, wow, so this was like an MCU or DCU before we ever had one.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Awesome.
I mean, so I would definitely recommend Streets of Fire. I was going to say Streets of Shadows. Streets of Fire to people, like you said, Jeff, if they want to change a pace, if they want to try something new. But I'd tell them exactly what I told you. John, I even said you the same thing, because you were all like excited and saying like, I'm ready to start Streets of Fire. I'm like, well,
good luck.
Just a heads up.
And then my response in the text thread was, wow, okay.
Yeah. ...
I have some opinions.
And maybe it was also the MTV generation that could have appreciated it more than we could have right away. But I know, being fans of movies and say you want something different, this is different.
For sure.
This is definitely different.
There's definitely an audience for this movie, for sure.
Yeah. And maybe I heard somebody say that I'm surprised this movie didn't become like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because this could have easily have a cult following that could have picked up steam.
And I actually see that in a lot of 80s movies now. Like, they're getting more notoriety now than they did when they first released. Like, biggest one that I always hear is Halloween 3, Night of the Creeps, Monster Squad. Like, those are already getting more notoriety now.
Yeah.
So with this movie itself doing the same thing, it just seems like it came out too early.
Ahead of its time. And I mean, also, movies today are just so bad that I think we look back and go, what was bad was actually really good.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
What's up?
Would you be okay to see a remake of this movie?
If we get a trilogy out of it.
Yeah,
I want to see Tom Cody's story arc, if he has one.
Like, they completely remake this movie in today's society. Would you be okay with that, or would you be like, no, leave it alone?
I'd be fine with it, but I feel like get the writer and director to come back and at least help with it.
Yeah, that's my thing, because I feel like Walter Hill was establishing this universe, whether he realized it or not. These were his products. These were his babies. You know, and they were, as weird as it sounds, becoming a family, because it was a universe of stuff. It'd almost be weird that they're trying to just say, hey, we want to do this for this purpose sake, because it may not work.
I'd say, take for instance how Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell didn't do them, but they had their hand helping.
Right.
So you still had a certain feel about it, but yet it was totally a different take.
Yeah. I definitely think this movie could be remade. Absolutely. I think you take what you have, and if you feel so inclined to improve upon the flaws that were plaguing the movie back then in 1984, you can make them better now. But don't miss the heart and soul, which in my opinion is the music. Do not get rid of the music if you remake this movie.
I think somebody would be better off making their own movie following this formula.
Because I feel like with today's standards of music, you're not going to get that same feel. And that might be the problem.
Although, if you have this type of music, people may listen to it and go, wow, this music was actually pretty good. How comes we don't have performers like this anymore? It's like how I saw an interview with Tom Petty where I think he was on like Conan O'Brien or something. And they said, how do you feel about the Backstreet Boys? And he's like, I actually like watching people who play instruments. That's more fun to me than 5 guys in sweaters dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to take away their talent from dancing or singing, but seeing people actually play instruments live is a whole nother level of appreciating performing arts talent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to see people singing and dancing, go to Broadway to see a musical. There you get the real impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, Streets of Fire could invigorate that and maybe bring that back to something that we lost that was actually great.
Yeah. Quite the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about this one, guys. I mean, we're coming up on its 40th anniversary. I thought it was a very interesting movie to talk about because of how unique and different it was, and we went over the, headlines about it. But, yeah, I think this was a really good discussion about this movie, and I hope anybody who listens and has a curiosity for it, I say check it out. Listen to what we say, and be prepared for what this movie might be. Mm-hmm. The movie does flow. For an hour and a half, it flows really fast, and you go, damn, man, this movie's over already. So, that's what I got to say about it.
Yeah.
That's what we have to say about it.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, we shall sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rashutter.
And Jeff Manford.
Thank you all once again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me. Oh, yeah.